What happens? A back ability walks into the collapsed assured acclaim and walks out the aperture in flames. You've apparent close interviews, awkward silences, and animate walkouts before. But annihilation like this. Prince Harry meets Lara Spencer in an affray of pride, truth, and ego that shatters the calm of morning television. What begins as an affable chat turns into her exact annihilation no one saw coming. The acceptable morning America collapsed had a attenuate hum that morning. One allotment anticipation, one allotment tension. The affectionate of atmosphere that fabricated alike the best acclimatized producers double-check their cues and audio feeds. Today's bedfellow wasn't a pop brilliant or cine amateur announcement their latest release. No, this morning's bedfellow came with titles, controversies, and an aisle of banderole breeding chaos. Prince Harry. As the camera panned left, Prince Harry entered from the wings. He wore adapted charcoal clothing with the collar of his shirt hardly open, no tie. His announcement was cool, too cool, a affected antithesis amid a loft and media trained. He called briefly to the collapsed admirers and befuddled Lara's battle with a bold minimum of courtesy. "Good morning, Prince Harry," Lara said. "Thank you for actuality with us." "Morning," and Harry said, clearing into his armchair and adjusting his lapel. "And please, aloof Harry. I've retired from the accomplished your aristocratic altitude thing." Lara gave an affable chuckle. "Fair enough. Aloof Harry it is." There was a pause. "Let's alpha simple," she continued. "How's activity in California alleviative you these days?" Harry gave an apathetic smile. "Sunny, quiet, bigger than algid palaces and algid shoulders." A few admirers' associates laughed. Lara smiled, but her eyes didn't. "Well, speaking of shoulders, let's allocution about accustomed legacy," she said smoothly. "You were built into one of the best iconic families in avant-garde history. Do you anytime absence actuality a allotment of that system?" Harry shrugged. "Absence it? No, I able it." "Escaped?" Lara repeated, adopting her eyebrows. "That's a able word." "Not able enough," Harry replied. "Bodies accept no abstraction what goes on abaft Alcatraz walls. They anticipate it's all gold and etiquette. It's not. It's an apparatus that eats you alive." Laura gave a baby nod. A fresh glanced at her notes. "And yet, you've kept the title, the security, the accessible presence. If it was so toxic, why not airing abroad completely?" Harry's announcement tightened. "I've absolved far enough, but not far abundant to stop accomplishing interviews," she asked. He leaned advanced slightly. "Would you rather I breach bashful, or would you rather I acquaint my accuracy on my acceding instead of accepting it rewritten by tabloids?" Lara aloft a brow. "I aloof acquisition it interesting. Harry, you say you appetite privacy, but you've become one of the best accessible bodies in the apple by your own design." He smiled sarcastically. "Well, maybe I'm aloof bigger at it than they anytime expected." That landed with a thud. Lara bound pivoted. "Let's allocution about Diana. Your mother was admired by the world. Many bodies see echoes of her in how you allege out. Does that allegory sit able-bodied with you?" Harry's face stiffened. "My mother isn't your anecdotal tool." Lara's eyes widened slightly. "I didn't beggarly you all use her aback it's convenient." Harry cut in. "Let her rest." There was a articulate blackout in the studio. Lara recovered. "Fair enough. Let's move on to article added current. Meghan, how is she?" "She's not here," Harry said bluntly. "No, but she's absolutely a allotment of the story," Lara apprenticed gently. "Many admirers are analytical about how your accord has shaped your views. Abnormally this account is about me," Harry interrupted. "If you appetite to allocution to her, book her." Laura paused, afresh said coolly. "Well, aback you're the one here. I'll accept to ask you." The restriction hit a new high. Harry sat back, bridged his arms. "Fine, ask. Do you accept the criticism about Meghan has had added to do with race, personality, or accessible expectation?" Harry aged his head. "I anticipate it has to do with envy. She shines and means the others never could." Laura's smile was gone. "That's an adventurous claim." "Accuracy usually is," Harry said, eyes bound on her. "And you abiding its truth, not projection?" Lara asked about sweetly. Harry laughed already coldly. You journalists adulation that word, don't you? Projection. Must be adamantine staring at addition who isn't abashed to allege their mind. Lara apprenticed on. So, let's go deeper. Is there any aisle in your apperception area adaptation with your ancestors as possible? Reconciliation. Harry smirked. Only if they beg for it. The collapse was asleep quiet. Laura blinked. Do you absolutely apprehend that? Harry shrugged. I don't apprehend annihilation from bodies who showed me nothing. Lara's articulation softened, but her words cut deeper. Harry, do you anytime anguish that by aggravating so adamantine to ascertain your activity adjoin your family, you still absolution them ascertain you? Harry's announcement affronted Doc. No, he said. I'm autograph my own story. But do you anticipate it's her adventure the apple is still accommodating to read? She asked. He leaned advanced again, eyes narrowed. They'll apprehend it. They'll buy it. They already have. The airs in his emphasis echoed, and Lara drew in a breath. You know, Harry, maybe it's time to stop acting like you're the aristocratic insubordinate and apprehend you aloof for actual famous, actual affluent man with a grudge. That band hit hard. Harry blinked, afraid by the directness. I anticipate we're done here, he said, articulation tense. You sure? Lara asked, her emphasis even. We haven't alike gotten to the allotment area. I ask if you still accede yourself a prince. Harry stood up. No, he said quietly. Not a prince. Not your puppet. As he absolved offset, Laura affronted to the camera, her articulation calm and clear. Will be appropriate to back afterwards the break. But anybody watching knew the breach wasn't aloof commercial. It was royal, and it had aloof boast animate on civic television. The bartering breach had aloof ended. The collapsed lights flickered acclaim as the aggregation accolade to reframe the camera angles. Lara Spencer sat abandoned at the desk, sipping from her GMA branded mug, her announcement unreadable. The admirers was hushed, ambiguous whether the bedfellow would acknowledgment or if what they aloof witnessed was the brusque end of the morning's banderole segment. Afresh the ancillary aperture opened again. Prince Harry re-entered, amateur squared, jaw tight, eyes blazing. His clothing anorak was gone. Shirt sleeves formed center up like he was walking into a battle arena instead of an allocution actualization set. Lara didn't stand. She didn't smile. Change your mind? She asked evenly. Harry sat bottom-ward with a thud, never breaking eye contact. I'm not activity to let you aberration aggregate, I say. I don't twist, Lara replied. I clarify. Harry chuckled dryly. Is that what you alarm it? She set her bug down. Let's get article straight. Harry, you weren't ambushed. You weren't tricked. You active up for an interview, not an adulation letter. Harry leaned forward. And you anticipate your captivation me accountable? Is that what this is? Some account to be the aboriginal announcer to betrayal the bad royal? I think, Lara said, that addition bear to ask the questions anybody abroad is too afraid to. He scoffed. You beggarly the tabloids haven't done abundant accident already. Maybe I should acknowledge you for the befalling to be angered to my face instead of through headlines. Insulted, Laura repeated. You alleged your complete ancestors toxic. You alleged them of racism. You broadcast clandestine arguments. And now you're agitated that bodies are allurement if you've taken it too far. I didn't name names, Harry attempted back. Because I accept added address than they anytime showed me. Or maybe, Lara said, articulation like ice. You kept it ambiguous on purpose. Aloof abundant ball to advertise books, but not abundant specifics to be sued. Harry's anchor clenched on the armrests. You don't apperceive what we've been through, he growled. You sit there in your New York collapsed sipping coffee while my wife was pushed to the border of suicide. Lara blinked. And I booty that seriously. But I additionally booty actively the accident done back accessible accusations are fabricated after proof. She lived it, Harry snapped. We both did. And so did the bodies you accused, Laura said. After anytime absolution them respond. There was a silence. A fresh Harry muttered. They had decades of media control. Now it's our turn. Lara bankrupt her hands. And how is this any altered than what they did to you? You say you able al-Cathar manipulation. Afresh, you body your own in California and hire out apartment to Netflix. Harry laughed bitterly. Nice metaphor. Did your aggregation address that for you? No, Lara replied. That one came from watching this account abatement depart. The admirers stirred. Harry sat aback, exasperated. This was declared to be a conversation, not a courtroom. Lara didn't flinch. Afresh, stop acting like you on balloon, and Alpha acting like addition who can own his decisions. There was an bend and aperceive how abundant it now. Neither was arena anymore. All right, Harry said, overextension his arms. Ask you a butting question. Let's see how low you'll go. Lara didn't hesitate. Are you still an acquaintance with your family? No, Harry replied curtly. Do you accept they'll anytime absolve you? He smirked. They'll charge me afore I anytime charge them. And do you see yourself anytime abiding to the UK clearly or ceremonially? Harry formed his eyes. Why would I? So they can amble me out like a zoo display a back they charge acceptable press. Lara's articulation was flat. So to be clear, you've cut ties with the absolution entirely. Harry hesitated. Let's aloof say I've acquired a lofted. That band-addled article in Lara. She leaned in. Harry, she said cautiously but sharply, you're not ability anymore. You're a celebrity. You're on morning shows, on podcasts, affairs acceptance and platforms. You don't backpack the weight of tradition. You backpack a Netflix deal. Harry's aperture tightened. That's none of your business. It became our business the moment you fabricated your agony a product. His eyes narrowed. You accept no abstraction what you're talking about, don't I? She asked. Because here's what I see. A man atrocious to be apparent as a victim while active like a king. A man who cut the strings of duty, but still calls himself battle-aback at a peril the moment. That appellation is mine, Harry said, articulation rising. It was accustomed by the Queen, my grandmother. And would she be appreciative of how you've acclimated it? Lara cursed back. Harry froze visibly. Lara didn't relent. You dodged every catechism about her. But let's be honest, Harry, she adored you. And in her final years, you repaid that by airing ancestors' affliction to the world. Not in service, not in silence, but in spectacle. She capital me to be happy, he said. She capital you to be honorable, Lara snapped. And about fourth the way, you started ambiguous absorption with purpose. Harry attempted to his anxiety again, furious. You aperceive what? I don't charge this. Lara remained seated. A fresh why appeared back. He didn't answer. Aloof stood there, fists trembling. Because, she said finally, you anticipation you could ascendancy the narrative. But this time, the questions weren't scripted, and the spotlight didn't flatter. Harry is secular feel at her. You're not a journalist. You're a adored account host ambuscade above the script. And you, she said quietly, our aloof edition affronted man who absent ascendancy of his own story. That bankrupt him. He accomplished down, yanked the microphone from his collar, and alone it on the board with a loud thump. You'll affliction this, he said through gritted teeth. No, Lara replied. I'll bethink it. Harry stormed off again, but this time there was no applause, aloof silence, and a camera boring zooming in on Lara's face, unmoved, unsiling, and added adamant than ever. She affronted to the audience. Well, she said calmly, we'll be appropriate back. The awning achromatic to black, but anybody watching knew. They aloof witnessed article no one could script. The cameras hadn't chock full rolling. In the ascendancy room, producers aside in afraid tones. Date easily stood frozen. A few admirers' associates looked against the exit, borderline if they were still watching a morning allocution actualization or witnessing history blast in complete time. From backstage, the complete of deadened choir seeped through. Eclipsed British emphasis barked orders. Harry's. His articulation was sharp, clearly agitated. She ambushed me. That was not the agreement. She's AG everything. A better approved to calm him. So, it's animate television. I don't care. Harry growled. If she thinks she's accepting the aftermost word, she's hardly mistaken. A fresh footsteps, heavy, deliberate. The aperture swung accessible again. Prince Harry stormed back into the collapse for the third time, eyes bound on Lara Spencer. This time, The admirers didn't move. No affable applause. No hopeful gasp. Aloof silence. Laura didn't rise. She artlessly glanced at him and said, "You came back." Harry stood beside his chair. "I'm not absolution, you carbon who I am." "Funny," Laura replied. "That's absolutely what I was about to say to you." He boring Saturday. No smile. No posture. Aloof acerbity beaming off him like calefaction off asphalt. Lara bankrupt the blackout first. "Why are you here?" "Harry," he blinked. "Excuse me? Why are you absolutely here?" she pressed. "Is it to advance a cause, a show, or to abuse anybody who didn't amusement you like the capital actualization of the monarchy?" The words cut like razors. "I came actuality to allocution about my work," Harry snapped, "about the Invictus Games, about brainy health, about causes that matter." "And yet," Lara said calmly, "you've spent 90% of this account arresting yourself, not your work," he is secular at her. "Because you fabricated it personal." "No," Laura said, articulation like steel. "You did the moment you affronted every accessible actualization into an analysis session. The moment you affronted affliction into branding, agony into marketing. You don't apperceive what I've lost," Harry said, almost captivation, his articulation steady. "I know," Lara said, her articulation abatement aloof, abundant to sting. "You absent your mother, and you've spent the blow of your activity back-breaking the apple for it." Harry's aperture alone open. Lara didn't stop. "You accusation the press, the family, the institution, but you never attending inward. Never ask what allotment of this anarchy you chose." He leaned forward, eyes wild. "I chose survival. You chose entitlement." She countered. He stood again, face flushed. "You don't get to allocution to me like that." "I aloof did," she replied coldly. He looked about the studio. This accomplished affair is a setup. You bodies don't appetite truth. You appetite spectacle." Lara beyond her legs calmly. "No, Harry. We appetite honesty, not theatrics, not curated pain, not this amaranthine achievement of dignity in exile. You accept no right," he hissed, "to sit there and adjudicate to me." "And yet," she said, "the world's been advised by you and Meghan ceaseless for 4 years. Every speech, every memoir, every Netflix episode. You befuddled stones from bottle castles and a fresh cry-to-back edition dared bandy one back." Harry's fists were afraid now. "You complete aloof like them," he said. "My brother, my father, cold, calculated, bedeviled with image." "Maybe," Laura replied. "Or maybe I aloof apperceive what accountability looks like." There was a pause. Afresh she added, "Let me ask you something, Harry. Except you anytime aloof already alleged your ancestor back Queen Elizabeth passed." He didn't answer. "Have you announced to William?" she asked. "Or do you still accept he shoved you into a dog bowl?" "Don't apish what happened in A to my bearded spat." "I'm not biting it," Lara said. "I'm allurement you. Where's the band amid healing and revenge?" He airtight a battle on the armrest. "You anticipate this is revenge. You anticipate I capital this life." "No," Lara said flatly. "I anticipate you capital ability after responsibility. And aback you couldn't accept it central the palace. You created your own head in Montecito." Harry stood absolutely now, animation heavy. "You're disgusting. And you're unraveling," she replied. "I came actuality in acceptable faith," he shouted. "You came actuality to ascendancy the narrative," Lara snapped. "And aback that failed. You did what you consistently do. Played the victim." That was it. Harry leaned beyond the desk, face inches from hers. "You anticipate I'm weak," he said, articulation shaking. "I think," Lara said quietly, "you're abashed of actuality ordinary." The blackout that followed was so complete alike the admirers didn't cartel exhale. Harry's face affronted crimson, his jaw locked. He stepped back. "This is over," he said. "You don't deserve my words." "You're right," Lara replied. "I deserve the truth. But you're too active a phase it to accord it." Harry accomplished for his accessory MIC again. Tore it off, A-tied it assimilate the desk. "You'll affliction this," he whispered. "No," Lara said, "but you might." He affronted on his heel and stormed out of the studio. The third exit. But article told anybody watching. It wouldn't be the last. The admirers was still captivation its breath. Producers in the ascendancy allowance were whispering aimlessly into earpieces. The camera lights had dimmed slightly, borderline whether the articulation was done or aloof on the border of chaos. Afresh the aperture A-tight accessible and Prince Harry stormed in again. But this time he wasn't composed. He wasn't media polished. He wasn't careful. His sleeves were formed higher. His beard hardly disheveled. His eyes agrarian with article amid acerbity and desperation. Lara Spencer didn't move. She sat altogether still, as if cat and mouse for the final act of the achievement she know best respected. Harry didn't delay to be introduced. He didn't like attending it.